Hey guys, welcome back to Moonlight Sports Present. This week, we're doing the daddy draft. Who's your Vladdy? Father-son bonding. Everyone on this team, their dad has to be on this team. It's real simple. Happy Father's Day. Now, there's going to be a little bit different than what I usually do. I usually do a public league, $80 million lineup. This league I'm doing is a theme league. So all of the teams are going to have to have someone related on their teams. So they're going to have to be brothers. We've done that draft before. They're going to be father-son. They're going to have to be grandfather, grandson, etc. Now, we're going to limit ourselves and only do father-son, like we said. But because this is a theme league, we have a lot more budget than usual. Usually we have 80 million. This time we're gonna have 140 mil to spend. So we're gonna have some big time years of these guys, and that's gonna help us because there's some Hall of Fame players we want here. One more thing is we're also gonna have a DH. So we're gonna be a little less dependent on our bench. Okay, let's jump right into it and see where we're going. Let's go. All right, guys, let's jump into it. We got the notebook ready. So we're going to jump into it. We've got a ton of Hall of Fame position players, not a lot of great starting pitchers, relief pitchers, or you could find seasons here and there. But because of that, I think we have a $140 million budget. So we're going to go really hard on the offensive team and just try to slug people out of the ballpark. All of that said, we do have one Hall of Fame pitcher. And for this draft right now, when in doubt, we're going to err on the side of the Hall of Fame. Okay, and so this is going to be Big Ed Walsh. And he's an old-time guy. He's like from the 1910s. The 1900s and the 1910s. So he's got some big inning years. And they're all really good. But we have a lot of money, so why not spend money on the guy that doesn't give up homers, doesn't really good strike out the walk. This is a monster season. Let's start here. His son pitched in the 20s. We'll take him. His son is not good. Spoiler alert. Son's not good. So we'll just take a cheap one of him. He's the one in the 1920s, Little Ed. We have money, so we could kind of empty some clips. We're only going to go with a three-man rotation here, I think, because we have Ed Walsh throwing 400 innings. And I think our third pitcher is probably going to be a tandem. Our second pitcher might also be a tandem. But there are some guys that we think might be some good options. So we've got, I think, Mel Stottlemyre, because Todd is pretty good, his son. And then he's also got Mel, the third Mel, if we want to just go super cheap. I don't think we're going to really have to burn super cheap guys because we have a lot of money. Like this is a pretty good Todd. I'm kind of looking at the Todds right now. This is a pretty good Todd. But I mean, they're good, but they're not great. This is an okay Mel if we want him as a reliever. A lot of good Mel years. Not a lot of great Mel years. And with a $140 million budget, like we're going to be facing big time lineups. So I think we're going to need to take it another level. So who else do we have? We have Stottlemyre's. We've got the Drybecks. The second Drybeck kind of stinks, though. We've got the Trout, Steve Trout, and Dizzy Trout. That's another old school pitcher, Dizzy. So he won't give us a lot of innings. He might work for a three-man rotation. We got the Mark Leiter and Mark Leiter Jr. I don't think they're going to be that good. We've got Clyde Wright and Jared Wright, who are pretty cool. Probably be pretty good as well. If we want to go double pitchers, starters. Okay, let's look at the Wrights. I'm pretty sure Clyde Wright is better than Jared Wright. Clyde pitched in the 70s. This is a pretty good season. I mean, again, good, solid. 270. So he'd have to be a tandem guy. Let's look at Trout. I know both of the Trouts are pretty good, and I know the first one. He has, we could if this is a good one. This is a solid one. Almost 2-1. Doesn't give up homers. Okay, whip. Okay, so we're gonna take that Dizzy. The innings will work for us. So that's our ace 1, ace 2, and then we're gonna go with tandem. Actually, before we do that, let's check off Steve Trout, his son, just to make sure we don't forget anyone. I think he's got some okay relieving years. We can filter this down a little bit more. He's a lefty. Nice. Okay. Doesn't give up homers, which is nice. Again, we're going to try to slug, so we might even put our team into a bandbox. So having guys that don't give up homers, all these guys would be ideal. I don't even think the lighters are kind of good enough. The rights we looked at, they might factor into this. Doug Drybeck is really good. He's got some. I already have Kyle Drybeck on here because I was just making sure before this that he actually made the majors, and he did. Why am I going crazy? Okay, pitched a couple seasons, but his dad is really good. His dad has a Cy Young season. I don't think he won the. I think he won it with the Pirates though. It's probably one of these seasons. This season's really good. Maybe this is the season we're gonna take. I mean, it's not a big number, but I like the fact that again we're gonna try to keep homers down. So let's take this Drybeck, and we'll keep in mind that we have some money. And that Drybeck's better, I think, than the right. And then we can take the Sun, who's gonna stink. We're just gonna take the cheapest version. Kyle. Not even gonna look at the numbers. We're gonna hope that he never really gets into the game. Okay, now our second pitcher that we're gonna tear up in tandem with Doug is gonna be the big thing. We could do it without Jarrett Wright. That would be a lot of innings. We don't hate the idea. Could be lighter, but I don't think there's a lot of good lighters, to be honest. Tom Gordon, his best seasons will probably be as a reliever, but he might have some good starting seasons, right? He's got a few. I mean, this Yankees year is really phenomenal. This is the year, actually, 2004. He blows the. It's funny that this is the phenomenal year because he's a key integral role in blowing that 4-0 lead the Yankees had, or 3-0 lead the Yankees had in the ALCS. But he was a monster. Again, though, not giving up home runs, though, this is really interesting to me because he doesn't give up homers. Walks, maybe too many guys, but I kind of like this version of him. And it gives us some flexibility because we can go D or Nick in our lineup. We could have Nick as a bench player, or we could have D at short or second or outfield. Okay, we're not going to look at. I'm going to have to put Nick and D just as a reminder. Okay, now we want to get a lot, since none of these relievers are too good. I mean, Steve Trout's okay, Walsh stinks, Drybeck stinks. We want some really good relievers. Some double-barreled relievers, father-son relievers that we're going to be looking at are Pedro Bourbon and Pedro Bourbon Senior or Junior, the Berdosians, the Quantrells, the Grillies, the McCullers. Those are the 5 double. There's a couple other guys that go hitter, pitcher. The other, we could also look at Bobby Witt Sr. I don't think Bobby Witt Sr. is going to have any years that are too good. And I don't think Bobby Witt Jr., I mean, maybe in the future he'll have better years, but he's still kind of young. Like, nah. I don't think, Bobby Witt's not going to do it for us. Fun fact about Bobby Witt, though, is in Ken Griffey Jr. baseball, the N64 video game, I did throw a no-hitter, or I think a perfect game. I think I threw a perfect game with Bobby Witt Sr. in Ken Griffey when I was in 96 or 98, whenever that game came out. Highlight of my life, some might say. Okay, let's look at Pedro Bourbon. Pedro Bourbon. This is a really good junior season. And this dad has some good seasons. Okay. 0.4. If we're going to take one of these, the thing is that Pedro, we take this one. Doesn't give up homers. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at these bourbon. Okay. I'm taking a couple notes on these guys right now. Okay, let's look at the Quantrill. I have a feeling the Quantrills are gonna be really good. And I have a feeling for Doge Grilly and McCullers. I mean, McCullers might be okay too. I don't really have a lot of faith in Grilly because I don't think the dad was any good. Okay. This one has a 209, which is really good. And then the son, it's a 120. I think I like the Pedros more. So you know what? We're gonna go with the. We're gonna go with the. They don't have a lot of innings either of these ones, but I don't think I'm gonna need that many innings to be honest. So we're gonna go with Pedro Bourbon Jr., another lefty, and then let's see. Junior, and then we'll go senior. And neither of these guys give up homers, which is what we love. Okay, so we'll go the Bourbons. It's not bourbon, I guess it's Bourbon. Okay, let's look at the Berdosians. Keep the R's rocking. They might have some good years too. Wait, we gotta put our saved search on. Berdoge. Steve Berdosian. Cam Berdosian has a 2. He doesn't. Both of these are actually kind of interesting. 190. As a unit, there was that really good Quantrill, which is probably the best of any of these pitchers we've seen because he also threw like 75 innings or something. But as a unit, I think these Berdosians are better. Okay, so let's go with. We're gonna go with Steve Berdosian, 93 Steve, and then probably 2016 or 2020 Cam. Okay. This one has a huge ERC plus, but that's because he gave up no homers the whole season. This one walks less and strikes out more. And if we're going into a bandbox, I mean, are we overthinking this? Should we just take the guy that doesn't give up homers if we're going into a bandbox? We also don't want guys that. Or we're gonna take this one. You guys know me. I love a strikeout per 9, and it's hard for me not to get really excited when I see an 11.3. Okay, we probably want one more. I'm just thinking that maybe that the Quantrills make sense only because they give me more innings. Like I'm only going to be able to pitch this guy. None of these guys are really big inning guys. Okay. We're gonna table it right now. We're gonna hold where we have because we do have this last relief pitcher that we're gonna use. And it's gonna be someone that has a cross. Yeah, cross pollination, a pitcher and a hitter son. Those options are going to be Jeff Straw and Travis Straw, Derek Rodriguez and Pudge Rodriguez, if we want to, again, err on the side of a Hall of Famer. Dave LaRoche and Adam LaRoche / Andy LaRoche. That'll give us some flexibility. And then there's George Seisler, who's the first baseman, again, Hall of Famer, and his son, his son, I think, is Dave or Derek. He's got two sons. One's a hitter, one's an outfielder, one's a pitcher. I think one is Dave and one is Derek. But we're going to figure that out later. So let's jump into here first. And there's where do we want to start? Let's start with one of the Gordons. We already have Tom Gordon, so we need his son. We could go. I'm looking at. I'm not going straight to the positions. I'm looking at the bench right now because D plays a lot of different positions, and I don't want to miss any of them. So this D is really great fielder, good batting average. a little bit better than average hitter overall. Doesn't have a lot of power, has a lot of speed. And he's a lefty. Okay, interesting. There's also Nick, which would probably be a bench player, but I think he gives us a lot of versatility. This is like your ideal bench guy, right? Comes off, can run, can play a lot of different positions. Doesn't really have a lot of range, but at least he's got a good glove at second and a good glove at the outfield. All right, we're going to take this Nick Gordon. We could still go with D. Gordon. We're going to have some whether it's father, son, son, or father, son, or whether it's going to be father, son, son. You can't have two fathers. You can't have father, father, son. I mean, you could, but it's father, son, father. I'm talking too much. Okay. I think we're going to, I know we usually hold the outfielders for a little bit, but I think we're going to jump into the outfielders right now because by my count, there's Vlad Guerrero, who's a Hall of Famer. There's Barry Bonds, who's a Hall of Famer. There's Ken Griffey Jr., who's a Hall of Famer. There's Tony Gwynn, who's a Hall of Famer. There's Tim Raines, who's a Hall of Famer. That's 5 Hall of Famers. And then there's Moises Alou, who's pretty good. Dante Bichette, who's pretty good. The Cruzes, Jose Cruz Jr. and Jose Cruz, were pretty good. And there's Cody Bellinger, and he had a few good years, and his dad stinks. But if we're doing a father-son, you got to go with Griffey's. Only father and son to have a home run back-to-back. So let's start with Ken. Backwards hat. This guy was like the poster. I had a poster of Ken Griffey. I was going to say he's the poster child in the 90s baseball. I had a poster of him growing up, even though I was a Yankees fan. And he hated the Yankees. And he killed the Yankees. But you got to love Ken Griffey Jr. Any kid growing up in the 90s did. So there's 97, 90. We're going to end up getting a big-time Griffey. So we're going to look at these Griffies. I won't lie. I think there's something so sexy about an A-plus range. It just gets me titillated. But there's also something sexy about a 400 on base and a 600 slug. And so I think I'm going to err on the side of this 93. Doesn't have as much range, but pretty good fielder. And that 400, 600, that gets me excited. Always will get me excited at 1,000 OPS. And then we're going to go with the dad. So here's the question is, we're also going to go with Barry Bonds. Question is our third outfielder going to be Bobby Bonds or Barry Bonds or /DH? I don't really think we could go Gwynn. We can't go Griffey, Bonds, and Gwynn as much as I would love to do that because then we'd have and Nick Gordon. We would just have too many outfielders on our bench. We're only going to have 4 outfielders on our bench, but that's already too many outfielders if we have 4 outfielders. And Tony Gwynn Jr. doesn't play any other positions. Like Nick Gordon, it says outfielder here, but he plays all over the place. So because of that, I'm going to go with Bonds here. I'm going to get my Bonds and Griffey's set. And we're going to spend a lot of money on Bonds. This is, like I said, we have a lot of $140 million, and we did not spend 50-50 on a pitcher hitter. So we have the money to spend on one of these big-time Bondses. And it's look at how good this guy. All right, I'm going to tell you all 4 of these are ridiculous. 500 on base percentage, 750. I guess it's not 750, but 700 plus slugging. Fielding isn't that great. This one's not that bad. But what we're seeing here, what I'm looking at here is plate appearances. I don't want this guy to miss a game. If this one, I know this one costs the most, but to me, these 50 plate appearances is going to be about 10 games. And even though he is a worse hitter, and he's a better hitter in both of these seasons, even though this was the 73 record-breaking year, the on-base percentages and the slugging is better this year. Whatever. We're going to go with this Bonds because of the plate appearances solely because I just don't want to take him out. I want him in the lineup every day. Okay, so we've got Bonds, Griffey. Now we have to decide, is this third guy going to be a Griffey or a Bonds? Let's look at Griffey Sr. first. I have a feeling that there's going to be better Bonds because Bonds was pretty close to the Hall of Fame. I don't think Griffey Sr. was close to the Hall of Fame. But let's just look. Okay, I'm just like this one has a 400 on base, which we love. Doesn't give us as much. That Bonds is a really bad fielder, so we would like to get a good fielder in that outfield as well. And this one is really good, but gets on base kind of, has a good batting average, but doesn't really have power. And I think Bobby Bonds, is a pretty good fielder. I know he's really fast, so I assume he's got some good range. And like this, all B's, B, 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 B plus, B, B, B plus. Okay. So we're going Bonds. 500 slugging percentages always get me excited. 370 on bases always get me excited. I think we're going to go with this Bonds. Again, he doesn't have as many plate appearances as these other guys, so he might have to sit. But he's got a better glove. As good on base as any of these guys. Okay, we kind of prioritize the glove there next to these outfielders, which means we're going to go with a cheap Griffey. Griffery. There's no R in Griffery. Just Griffey. We're just going to take the cheapest one right now. Oh, and he plays added bonus. Gives us a little first base eligibility. Okay. Now, so our outfield, check. I think the next thing we should look at is catcher or third base or shortstop. Okay, I'm not really sure. Let's look at catcher. Okay, I just looked at something. I saw something here. We talked about wanting to be a bandbox, wanted to hit home runs, wanted to slug people, and I just looked. My two best hitters are lefties, and they're power hitters, and that's going to inform the rest of this lineup. We're going to try to stack lefties and switch hitters, and because we say that, we're going to look at catcher. Now, there's a few Hall of Fame catchers here. There's two. There's Pudge. We could go Pudge and Derek Rodriguez. We could go Yogi and Dale Berra. Dale's probably going to be a bench player. And there's a couple other catchers. If we want to go dual catchers, we could go like the Kendalls, Jason Kendall and his dad. I think his name is dad's like Dave Kendall. Is he a lefty, by the way? Oh, he's a righty. And I'm pretty sure Ivan Rodriguez is also a righty. Most catchers are righties. Listen, we're going to go to Yankee Stadium. We're going to play in Yankee Stadium. We're going to stack a lefty lineup. And because of that, you guys already know, we're going with Yogi. There's some other good pitchers. There's some other good father-son catchers out there. Tony Pena and his two sons. Bob Boone, his dad and his sons. We can maybe use one of those guys as our bench catcher. But we're going to take these. Oh, and again, we're prioritizing power, so both of these ones are interesting to me. We like a catcher. This one doesn't strike out, which actually is also very interesting to me. But we're going to prioritize some glove play. Also, he could give us a couple outfield appearances. So we're going to go with that Yogi, which means we have to go with Dale Berra. I don't think there's going to be any Dale Berras that are good enough to start. I do think that he plays multiple shortstop and third, and he might even have some second base in him. He does, but those are kind of expensive. We kind of want cheap. So we're going to go, gives us a third baseman and a shortstop. So right now we have three bench players. He plays everywhere. He plays outfield and first. He plays short and third. He can play second. He can play first. So we have all of our outfield covered except for catcher. And so we're going to double down on catcher. We're not going to go with a Pudge. I don't think there's going to be really a cheap enough Pudge there. And I have some other things working in my head for that last reliever. No disrespect to Derek Rodriguez. So the guys we have as possible catchers is we could go Bob Boone, and then we could go his dad with Ray Boone. at second or third or possibly even short. And then, or we could go with his sons, Aaron Boone, Brett Boone at third and second. And maybe Aaron has a shortstop here. I don't think he does, but or we could go with the Alomars. We could go Sandy Jr. here, and then Sandy Sr. at second. I think he might have some shortstop years, and then even throw in Roberto Alomar, who would be really good. Probably would be one of the best second basemen we could possibly get. Or I guess technically we could even go with another Hall of Famer. Technically has some catcher seasons, backup catcher seasons, which is Craig Biggio. But then we don't really want his son Kevin in the starting lineup of this caliber, I don't think. So Alomar or Boone. The way we're going to decide this is we're going to see who has the best seasons, and not necessarily the best catcher seasons, the best related seasons. So this Brett Boone year is monster. 125 OPS plus, B plus, 370, 550. Ray Boone also has some good years. Oh, especially these 2 years. Can play shortstop or third. Almost 390 on base, 520, 520. So then we could go father Ray, son of Ray, but Bob, and then son of Bob, Brett. And then Aaron's down here. Okay. Or we could look at one of the Alomars. One of the Alomars. He's a switch hitter. I'm getting really enticed by the switch hitting. And then the dad, this dad doesn't hit, but he's fantastic. And he can play shortstop. A+ range at shortstop is something that I'm always interested in, even though it's a D+. Probably have a lot of errors, but he'll make like a ton of really good plays. Ranging. Again, the 400. I know that Boone had a higher batting average, a higher slugging percentage. I think had a higher OBP+, had more range. But what did I say in the beginning, guys? Do you remember what I said in the beginning? I said, in this system, we're erring on the side of Hall of Famers. And last time I checked, none of the Boones are in the Hall of Fame. Is Ray Boone in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. Ray Boone, are you in the Hall of Fame? No. No Hall of Fame, Ray Boone. Guess who is in the Hall of Fame? Roberto. Let's look at catchers here because we want a backup catcher. So Sandy Alomar Jr. And we'll just go for the cheapest catcher right now. And then, all right, we did this all to get Roberto, which means there's a lot of good second basemen that we saw D. Brown. We saw D. Gordon. We saw the Boones, Brett Boone and Ray Boone. I guess Ray Boone played shortstop and third baseman. Brett Boone. We didn't look at any of the Biggios, but I just don't think Kevin is good enough to really change the. Although, should we go with this one? This one's a much better hitter. We're gonna go with this Roberto Alomar because he's got a little more range. Which again, it's only C- range, but I'm gonna take it. And then we're gonna go with we're gonna taking this Sandy Alomar is definitely going to, and I think it was a secondary position. So, the thing about it is there was some really interesting shortstops that we could have gone with. They're all recent guys, right? There's Bobby Witt Jr., maybe, but he didn't have the pitcher dad to make it happen. There was Bo Bichette, who could have been interesting, but we already had our outfield stacked. There was D. Gordon, but his best seasons were at second. There's Mondesi, but his dad, again, our outfield was stacked. We didn't even talk about Tim Raines, really, but our outfield is stacked. The outfield is just too stacked. So we're going to go with this Sandy. Again, the D glove isn't the greatest, but the A+ range, I think, is going to work really well for us. Okay, we have 4 picks left. We have father, son, son. We have DH, third base, and we're going to go with another pitcher. So I think here, hold on. My brain is trying to work right now. It's like it's going. So there is Tony Perez who could play third or first, but Eduardo Perez is not going to be good enough DH, and we don't have any room on our bench. As the shortstops, we could have won Fernando Tatis Jr., but we already have Sandy Alomar, so Fernando Tatis Jr. and Fernando Tatis Sr. at shortstop and third isn't really going to make sense. Although I guess technically, we could go Fernando Tatis Jr. at DH and Fernando Tatis Jr. Fernando Tatis Sr. at third. But we've got someone else in mind. When in doubt, care about Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is breaking the ties all the time. And we have a DH that I think, and he might end up being in our outfield at the end of the day because, again, that Bond isn't the greatest outfielder. We left out on Vladdy the daddy. And we've got a ton of money right now. The question is, do we want to spend it on this one, get the extra plate appearances, get a little more speed, get a little more on base, or do we want the one with more power, a little bit better range in case we do play him in the outfield? Okay, we're going to take this Vladdy. We got money to spend, ladies and gentlemen. We got money to spend. Now, here's the question. The question comes down to who are we going to take in the second spot? If we want Jeff, we could go Jeff Shaw and Travis Shaw, which would then make him put Travis Shaw at third base. Or we could go Dave LaRoche. Okay, well, we need a Vladdy. Or we could. Okay, Jeff Shaw is going to be a third baseman. Adam or Andy LaRoche could play third or first, so that'll work. And Sizzler could play first. So where are we doing with Vlad? What are we doing with Vlad? I think so. Vlad is a first baseman now, but he came up as a third baseman. And I'm pretty sure that the LaRoche. Let's see a couple things real quick. Actually, go back. We have 23 for 3 players. I'm just trying to think in my head. Let's see if this works. Let's see. Travis Shaw doesn't interest me. The LaRoches don't interest me. Now, I am sure that Travis Shaw and LaRoche, the dads, are better pitchers than the son of Sizzler. But Sizzler is a game changer, and we're going game changers. And what did I say this whole time? Error on the side of Hall of Famers, and George Sizzler's a Hall of Famer. So let's see if we can get an eligible Vlad third baseman. Like, this is a monster year. Oh wait, we want to normalize it. I mean, we're already kind of built into Vlad right now, so it doesn't really matter, but yeah, this one is a monster, Vlad. 320, 400, 585. Can't field at all at third base, but I mean, the position flexibility at first maybe comes in helpful. 700 plate appearances. Listen, this is why we have Sandy Alomar with the A+ range at shortstop covering that hole, because big old Vlad ain't catching anything in that hole. He ain't going to his left all day. All game, he will never go to his left. If it's hit to him, it's hit to him. If it's not, sorry. So we got 2 guys left. I'm sure that we have 16 mil. I think we're gonna have plenty of money. And there should be a monster Sizzler. Again, the problem, I will not lie. The bullpen is not great. And Sizzler's a lefty. And I think I could just take this one and still have the money. Look at this, 450 on base. Where is this one better? This one's actually a little bit better hitter. I'm like getting blinded by the 400 batting average. But this one gets he gets on base more. This one has more power. This one has more speed. He's a better fielder. He has more plate appearances. This my in my brain, I'm gonna bet this guy first, and then I'm gonna have Bond second. What do you guys think? I'm really getting blinded by this 400 on batting average, even though this is 394. It's not that much different. I'm getting blinded by the on base, but the power is like if we want to mash. Okay, we're gonna go with this Sizz. There, we have 3.7 mil left. Okay, if there's any Sizzler that's even okay, I would do a backlit. Um, just got to do our search right. I'm pretty sure the Sizzlers are okay. Do I want to torture myself and look at LaRoche and Shaw? I'm going to torture myself. That's not how you spell LaRoche, though. People are like, come on, man. The video one, let's get this video to end. You're really going to look at these guys you're not going to take? I just wanted to, because I know Dave LaRoche had some good seasons. Oh, Madon. 100 innings, and he's 0.2. 9 to. That's a tough LaRoche to pass up. I mean, there's not going to be a better Shaw than that. I know there won't be. It's Jeff Shaw. There's not going to be a better. Oh, this might be better than that LaRoche, close to it. But here's the honest truth: is Travis Shaw, Adam LaRoche, Andy LaRoche are not going to be near that George Sizzler. So as long as Sizzler isn't an absolute squid, I'll live with it. And this one I can live with. Really not very good strikeout to walk ratio, but doesn't give up hits and doesn't give up homers. Gives us 85 innings. We can live with that. We have 1,000,000.3 extra. We could go and get a better Griffey, or we could work on the bench. What do you guys think? Do we want to go? Do we want to upgrade our Griffey, or do we want to upgrade our bench? Let's upgrade our bench. Let's look at Ken Griffey Sr. Max cash left. I mean, these Griffies would kind of be good off the. This Griffey doesn't play first, but he would kind of smash. Like off the bench, this Griffey would smash. Only has 92 plate appearances. I don't think I'm going to need that many plate appearances from him, but I'm not going to lie, though. I do want the first base eligibility. I mean, like, we could just play him at first base. It's not like he's a gold glove first baseman. We would still have extra money. I wonder if there's a Sandy Alomar that plays. Let's take this Griffey Sr. just because he's such a good hitter. And he's and maybe, just maybe, one of these Sandy Alomar Juniors could. Wait, how much money? We're already here, so let's look at it while we're here. I don't think. No, we could just take this one, though. I think this one's better fielder. We still have $250,000. We still have a lot of money left. We don't technically have a backup first baseman. I guess we could play Vlad at first. Play Vlad at first, and then Berra at third, or Gordon at third. So it'll work. It should work fine. We do have extra money though. Let's see. We can maybe up. I'm just gonna try to see if we can upgrade everyone on our bench hitter. Cash that. I wonder if one of the. I don't think any of those. We could just take this Berra. Doesn't really do anything. He's a little bit better hitter, a little bit more speed. All right, keeps $31 million. All right, I think that's our lineup, guys. Okay, that's the father-son team. Now, do we want to go? We got two puns in mind. We could go, who's your Vladdy? Playing on the Vlads. Or we could go father-son bonding, playing on the Bonzes. Or we could go Baron knows best. That's not really a thing. Okay, so we're gonna go with who's your Vladdy? And look at all these lefties. Lefty, lefty, switch, switch, lefty, lefty. Welcome to Yankee Stadium and the newest Yankee Stadium. All right, guys. We'll be back in 1 second to show you our complete and final rosters. And here's your final lineup for Who's Your Vlad. Behind the plate, we have a 1956 Yogi Berra. At first, a 1922 George Sisler. At second, a 1999 Roberto Alomar. At third base, the hot corner, a 2021 Vlad Jr. Shortstop, completing the synergy of the double play combo father-son, a 1971 Sandy Alomar. In left field, a 2001 Barry Bonds. In center, a 1993 Ken Griffey Jr. And in right field, a 1975 Bobby Bonds. DHing, Daddy Vladdy the Impaler, Vlad Guerrero. To our bench, behind the plate, we have a 2002 Sandy Alomar Jr. At utility, we have a 2021 Nick Gordon. And our other backup infielder, a 1978 Dale Berra. And backing up in the outfield, a 1973 Ken Griffey Jr. Sr. Ken Griffey Sr. For our starting rotation, we got a 1910 Big Ed Walsh, followed by a 1944 Dizzy Trout. Back of the rotation, we got a 1990 Doug Driebeck and a 1997 Flash Gordon. Our bullpen, a 2011 Kyle Driebeck, a 1928 Ed Walsh Jr., a 1960 Dave Sisler, a 1987 Steve Trout, a 79 Pedro Bourbon, a 96 Pedro Bourbon Jr., a 2016 Cam Berdosian, and closing games, a 1993 Steve Berdosian. Guys, this is Who's Your Vladdy, the father-son softball team. Tell me what you think. What did we do wrong? What did we do right? Who did we miss? Who shouldn't have made the squad? Guys, remember, like, comment, subscribe. Meanwhile, this has been Moonlight Sports Presents. Peace.